Hi, welcome for our RTL online training sessions. In this session, we are going to talk about one of the important concept in human capital management. That's called checklist. Human capital management checklist. So, in the name itself, we have checklist is basically checking some list of tasks which we want to complete. Whenever we want to complete some group of tasks, we will be using the checklist. So what is checklist? A checklist is nothing but a group of tasks that needs to be completed whenever an action occurs. Whenever any action occurs, that time we want to perform some group of tasks. We want to perform some group of tasks. For example, when we say the action occurs, when we say the action occurs, okay, so what action perform? For example, whenever we hire a new employee, onboarding the new hires and offboarding or transferring any worker, or if you try to apply an absence leave. So different scenarios we have, different actions will be performing. Means the employees will be doing different performing different transactions, right? We cannot say that all transactions required checklist, but some of the transactions are required multiple tasks. Whenever we want to perform multiple tasks in the sequence order, then we prefer the checklist. Then we prefer the checklist. Okay. So you might have seen whenever you join in some organizations, the HR people used to follow this checklist format. What this is first your joining formalities needs to be completed. At the time of joining an employee, they are supposed to submit their academics certificates, their experience certificates. After that, attending for the induction classes, then completion of all the personal payment methods, nothing but their bank accounts and other uh, salary details submission to the HR department, and after that checking their systems, and like that there will be a flow. It depends on the client. One client will follow one rule, one client will follow another rule. Depends on the employee also, the procedure will be different. If it is a manager, then they are supposed to attend some other sessions instead of regular conduction induction classes. Okay, so like that the checklist is nothing but the group of tasks which we want to perform in the sequence order. Out of those tasks, we can specify some of the things are mandatory, some of the things are optional, some of the things are required approvals from someone else, and there will be a performer also. There will be a the person who is going to continue with it. So, as a human capital management functional consultant, it's our responsibility to create a checklist and maintain those checklist tasks. And we can also have a template, checklist template. Within that template, we can maintain all this checklist. And then we will go for assign this particular checklist to the employees. The moment when we hire an employee, some of the checklists we can specify automatic. In the sense, the moment when you hire an employee, automatically that checklist will be assigned for employee. I don't want to do it again manually for that particular any employee new hiring. So it should come automatically. So in that scenario, we can also set that it should automatically. We can also specify the eligibility profile. We can specify the eligibility profile. It means this checklist is required only for this business unit employees or this department employees or this position employees, like that. So checklist can be automatically allocated when an action occurs, or you can allocate it manually. As I said just now, the checklist once it is created, you can mention that it should automatically go for allocate for an employee, or manually also you can go for assign the checklist to the employees. Whenever we are working with checklist, we'll have a couple of lookups. When we are working with checklist, we'll get that values. We know that lookup is basically a list of values with codes and description, where we can go for add the new values and disable existing values. There are standard 5 lookups which are provided by Oracle. Checklist category. So you can create different categories here. There are some built-in categories like onboarding, offboarding. If we want to add, we can go for add a new one here. Extensible type of lookups this. How many types of lookups we have? It's a general topic, right? It's not only in the checklist. We'll find it in all the modules. We'll see the checklist like finance and supply, human capital, everywhere. We'll find lookups, value sets, and flex fields. Lookups are three different types. One is extensible, another one is user defined, another one is standard lookup. Extensible is nothing but which we will be using to add additional values. Whatever Oracle provided, those values we cannot go for disable or delete. We can go for add the new values to this. So that comes as checklist category. And we have different task category and title of the onboarding sponsor and content category name if you want to add and action list. So these all built-in lookups we have. If at all required, we can go ahead with this options here. Then checklist profiles also there. Profiles are basically when you would like to set the values default. So profile will change the way of your application execution. When I say application execution, for example, when I open the checklist, the tasks or notifications are not open, old notifications are not open because those are already deleted. Okay, those notifications deleted. Okay. So in that scenario, we can find out what's the profile value is enabled. So purge the duration for checklist action and thread idle time during synchronization web service checklist. Web services are used when we are using multiple applications. Whenever we try to exchange the data between the applications, it will be used. So defer, disable checklist and task alert notifications. This all will be performing here. Okay. So these are standard profiles we have administrator level. Oracle has given some default values for all these profiles. Most of the clients will follow the same values. But if the client wants to go for have different values, they can go ahead with this. We can change the values according to the requirement. So that's about the profile values basically. So we can also create a checklist template using the checklist template task in the setup and maintenance, means from FSM environment. So whenever checklist is created, by default, the status of the checklist will be draft status. By default, it will be draft status. And if at all we want to use it, we have to activate. And after some time, if we don't want to use that, you can inactive. So if at all you say that, no, I don't want to use the checklist template, I don't want to create. So what you can do is you can make use of predefined checklist templates by making of copy of the template. Okay. So whenever we are creating the checklist, automatically the code will be generated, which is used to identify the checklist uniquely. Uniquely, we can identify the checklist code because when we are writing some queries in BI reports, or in workflow notification somewhere, if we are calling this checklist, we can call by using checklist code instead of checklist name. That's the advantage of checklist code. When we have eligibility profile, we know that once the checklist is created, if at all we wanted to assign this checklist only for specific employees, not for all. If at all you want to put some eligibility criteria based on employee person information, or based on employment information, we can use the eligibility profile. Eligibility profile is a common concept we'll find in options management as well as in payroll element creations and also goals and some other places we'll be using. Right. So that's about checklist template. So what are the different actions? So far we are just talking about checklist will be automatically populated whenever some action performs, right? So what are the different actions which we have whenever we are working with the checklist? So hiring pending worker, pending work relationship. When you try to do the transfer, global transfer, create offer letter. This all offer letter comes from ORC, Oracle Recruitment Cloud, and we can see these all actions from different categories and the scenarios where this particular one is applicable. Okay, so this is going to be used over here whenever we are working with the applications. So that's about the checklist actions which we are going to have in the different levels. we'll be using that checklist of actions. Here it is. Okay. And how the checklist will be assigned. If at all you would like to assign the checklist for an employee, what we have to do is we have to go to person management. Once we go to person management, we have to search for an employee and go to the manage the employment information. There we have to go with the allocated checklist option, and we have to assign this checklist to the employees. That's how we will perform it. So if the checklist is having automatic assignment as per the eligibility profile, if employee is eligible, it's going to be assigned automatically here. And then manually means from person management, we can go for assign manually. Here it is. And then if you are going to assign that eligibility criteria, based on that only system will give the permission for assigning this element, assigning this checklist to the employees. And task performers, as I said, checklist is nothing but a group of tasks which we are going to perform. Okay, so this task performers will be there, and owners also will be there. So owner is nothing but a person who is having this particular task responsibility, who has created. Performer is nothing but a person who has to perform the action against the task. Either he has to give some response for that particular task. We'll call them as a performer. So performer, if he is going to give the result, then it will go to the next level. It will go to next level options here. So task performers and owners are derived based on what we will specify in the checklist template. So whenever we are creating the checklist, the moment when you choose the task, if at all you want to mention who has to perform the task and who is the owner of that particular task, we can specify that option at the time of creating the checklist itself. Okay. So that's how we will go for specify the performer and owner and assign this checklist to the employees. This is the diagram, like what we have discussed so far theoretically. You know, it comes as one image. Graphically, it is showing that what are the steps we are supposed to perform whenever we are working with the checklist. So worker is there means employee and is allocated a checklist manually. And if you assign this checklist manually to the worker, it will automatically trigger. So if you are going to perform that, it can be associated with eligibility profile, and it can be associated with the tasks here. And all the tasks, if are completed, then it will be going to perform. So task owners will be there who will be taking care of that particular task. And finally, the performer is going to perform the task against that particular checklist over here. It is. So that's the instance of that. Let me show you where do we find the checklist creation whenever we enter into setup and maintenance. So here is our checklist lookups, which we have, and checklist descriptive flex fields we have. If at all we want to perform, and here is the checklist template. So if I go to checklist lookups, there are four lookups we have. I think the one more is not available. One lookup has been removed. Title is there, category, We have three. Let me just check. Five should be there. Action list is not there. Action list is not there. So I think it's been removed in the latest version. It's 23B maybe. Yeah. So it's latest version. They have removed it here. So if I go for checklist category here, then it will show the list of categories. Yeah. Options management module, we have some checklist. Benefits module, we have some checklist. Compensation module, we have onboard, HR admin related. Okay. These are just names. That's all. Learn onboarding, offboarding, person, recruitment module, survey, conduction, learning module, health and safety. So the moment when employee join in the organization, there will be some checklist. Employee has to just go through it. That's all. You don't need to do anything. So we'll provide those particular checklist, and we'll also set the date. So employee should complete all those particular tasks within the date. Otherwise, it will keep on send the notifications to that. So all these lookups are extensible lookup. In the sense, you can go for add the new values in case what all you want to add. So you can go for add the new values here. Onboarding sponsor is one of the title. If we want to add the new title, we can add here. Now we have seen the lookups which are available for this particular. And there are descriptive flux fields here in case if we want to add additional attributes to your checklist, because descriptive flux fields will be used to add some attributes to the page. So Oracle has given some standard attributes where we can enter the information. But if at all you want to add some additional fields to your checklist, then it's going to be used over here. And here we can find the checklist templates here.